The student who was arrested for attending class to think that's actually a crime. Josh Alexander, welcome to Slightly Offensive.
Thanks for having me on.
Dude, let's talk about this. Let's get right into the madness. Let's talk about the insanity. So you got arrested for attending class. It seems like it was only a few years ago that we were trying to get kids into school, and then all of a sudden we were keeping them out of school. Now that they're back, we're arresting them for trying to attend. So I always like to ask my guests, how are you doing, bro?
Pretty good. I can't complain.
Can't complain, right? So let's just jump into your story and let's backtrack this for a second, because I'm sure there's a lot in between getting arrested for trying to learn and why that happened. So you're an American, you're Canadian, you're in Canada right now. Talk to me a little bit about what led up to you getting suspended from your school.
Yeah, so it was actually interesting. You were just talking about how, as of a couple of years ago, we're trying to get students back in classes. Previously, like you said, I'm an American and Canadian citizen, and I had been in the high schools during the COVID restrictions in Canada, and I had been fighting that across the country. And I'd been suspended from my school maybe 3 times. So I decided to leave that school and switch to the Catholic board. Um, Not long into my time at the Catholic board, which was just this past September, I was informed by some female students that male students were using the female washrooms. So they were obviously concerned by this. So I decided to take it to the administration, and they completely ignored me. A female student did the same thing. They ignored her as well. Um, so then I decided to stage a protest outside my school. And 2 days leading up to the protest, I was suspended indefinitely for violating the safe schools policy, which was basically just things I had said during a class discussion.
So what did you actually say? Because I want to clarify to people who are watching the show for the first time. I mean, it's good that there's policies in schools that are trying to keep students safe. I mean, school shootings, et cetera. There's real damage that's being done. There's a lot of fighting, et cetera. So obviously, you would want administrators to be on the lookout for people threatening to kill people, threatening to jump people, threatening to vandalize, et cetera. What was the language that you used that made them feel like your school was under attack or was at threat?
Yeah, so what I ended up saying was that there's only two genders, and I used basic biology, facts, reality, and my own personal religious beliefs to defend that. And I'm in a Catholic school. I'm not Catholic, but I am a Christian, so I was able to quote scripture to them, and I made it pretty clear and simple for them. But they didn't take too kindly to my remarks. I also stated that male breastfeeding is pedophilia when a teacher was promoting it out of her own accord. Two teachers actually. So yeah, these were the I guess the dangerous comments I made. But yeah, they kicked me out and they accused me of bullying when all of my remarks were made in classes where every student had not had the opportunity to give their opinion. And so I did, and they didn't like mine. So now I've eventually been arrested for it.
Bro, okay, we got to break this down for a second because
Yeah.
like I mentioned, right? I mean, when I was my first week of 11th grade, somebody got stabbed in the back of the neck. So I mean, I understand school's got to be on edge. But you said this is a Catholic school. So we're talking about a religious institution. Felt that it wasn't a knife you brought to school, it wasn't a gun you threatened with. Your basic stance on not even faith, but just on the fact that there are only two genders was enough to make people feel like they were threatened. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, based pretty much. I made my remarks in the class. I was getting yelled at. I was getting shouted at by both staff and students. I got the typical list they give. I was a racist, a sexist, a bigot, a homophobe. You name it. I got it all. And this was for simply expressing my beliefs that are backed by any common sense. And apparently that was hateful, and it was a form of bullying.
Josh, I want to ask you something important here before we go into the next stage of the conversation. Like, how well versed are you on your faith? You mentioned you're a Christian, some form of a Protestant or whatever, not necessarily Catholic, but you see the similarities in a lot of, we're basically aiming for the same goal, some differences. How much does your faith, and your backing in this influence these views that you have, considering the fact it is a religious institution, it is a Christian institution, and it should be respecting the Christian faith? Like, how much does that influence this decision of yours to speak out?
Yeah, my faith definitely plays a role in it. Um, the dynamics here in Canada obviously are not in favor of me for what I'm saying. So knowing that I have God behind me helps. But I don't think should just be a religious topic. I think any young man who has a young woman come to them and express any form of concern over a matter that they are capable of speaking out about, they should, and it's their duty and obligation to do so. So that's why I did it.
Yeah, so let's talk about the reception from the kids about being suspended for this and being attacked. You're Gen Z, right? So this is really interesting to someone like myself to kind of get the climate of what's going on in high school. Tell me a little bit about what the reactions were from both your statements that you made and then your eventual suspension from your classmates. Like, where did they stand? Did you see that there was a different reception, whether they were straight or identified as LGBTQ? Like, how was the response to all of this?
Well, so like I said, my first suspension came 2 days before my walkout. Um, the teachers had a chance to go into the classes while I was gone and talk about my views and talk about myself, and they intimidated and scared students and silenced them, basically. Um, they threatened them with loss of transportation, and they said it would ruin their reputations if they were associated with me. And so yeah, they a lot of students are afraid to express their support for me, and the other ones are just completely indoctrinated. I mean, they've been in this system for far too long, and there's been an obviously ideological warfare and an attack on our youth, and it's very apparent in the critical thinking that, or the lack of critical thinking, I should say, in our classes.
So these kids are completely brainwashed, and like, I mean, people like myself, yourself, we get it. I mean, this is absolute stupidity. The fact that we're even pushing on these things. I don't know if you saw, but there was a derailment of a large toxic spill in the United States in Ohio, and we can't even keep up our railways in North America. We have flying objects that nobody can identify. People are arguing about the Super Bowl. We have satanic Grammy performances. And out here, people are believing that the number one issue we have is whether or not boys can use girls' restrooms, etc., which is very bizarre, very, very strange to me. So you get suspended for this. Why do you think they suspended you instead of letting you work out your rights and actually go through with the walkout and protest their actions? Like, why would they preemptively discipline you?
Well, yeah, they probably were able to predict that I would have had a fairly large response from the students. I did have a lot of support going into the week of the walkout, but once they had the chance to remove me from the classroom and actually go around and speak to the students and intimidate them, they were able to basically mitigate that threat to their reputations. They were obviously concerned of what they're doing being shown to the public, so they just tried to silence me.
Yeah, dude. Okay, so this is a personal question that well, as a minor, you're welcome to not answer or to answer. Um, when you see this kind of response from adults, and out of respect, considering that you're still a student, um, what does this make you think about the example that the adults are setting for you and the leadership that you have to follow and to look up to when they don't even acknowledge basic biology and when it's a Christian institution and they essentially punish you for trying to rally support from people who actually still hold true to Christian doctrine? Like, what does that do to a young dude?
Well, it's not something I'm surprised by. I've seen it my entire life. The former generations are completely afraid to stand up for anything that's right. They're all dependent on their jobs, or they're just captivated by the system, and it's disappointing to see. I mean, I would have liked to have had a at least one teacher stand up for what was right, but it's not going to stop me. I don't care either way. I'm going to stand up for what's right, and I don't care what the administrators, that the teachers do, or even the students. As long as I'm doing what's right, I'm happy.
Yeah, and I respect that. So let's go forward a little bit. You get suspended. You are planning this walkout, reminding people you can walk out for Black Lives Matter. You can walk out for any communist regime ideas. You can walk out for any minorities. I would say that it's important to remember that Christianity is increasingly becoming a minority religion inside of these increasingly atheist nations. And this is also a Christian institution. You believe you're doing what's right. You believe you're punished incorrectly. So talk with me how the time goes between after you are suspended and how you end up in class and eventually in police custody.
Yeah, so like you said, I felt it was wrong. I mean, they even released some of the allegations with me or against me after I'd hired a lawyer, and Liberty Coalition Canada is funding that for me. But yeah, they released the allegations, and some of them were, like I said male breastfeeding is pedophilia, and I also said that there's only two genders, and apparently because there was a transgender student in that class, that was bullying. So yeah, there were a few allegations against me, and most of them were just based off of my beliefs, and a lot of it my religious beliefs. So I felt that the exclusion order was wrong. I didn't feel I knew it was wrong, and I decided to attend school. My suspension had ended. I should back up. Yeah, my suspension had ended, and they gave me an exclusion order, which means that it's not a disciplinary action, but they feel that my presence in the building would be harmful to the other students. This isn't usually something that's used. Most people have never even heard of an exclusion, but they do it when the student hasn't done anything that can get them disciplined. But it's enough that the principal feels they're a threat, so they'll remove them before they've made any move. So yeah, I was excluded. I felt it was wrong. I decided to attend school. The principals asked me to leave multiple times. They followed me to my classes, telling me I wasn't welcome on the property. They'd write down anything I said. And I just kept going. They banned me from two of my classes the night before I showed up at school. And I just kept going to them. And yeah, so by the time I got home, they had contacted the OPP and my parents, and they informed them that I had a trespassing notice, and they suspended me for another 5 days. So I kept working with my lawyer. I waited out my 5 day suspension, and I was set to return after I'd already lost my 4 credits from the one semester, and I went to go for the second semester of the year, kind of start fresh and just have a new go at it, all new classes. And they sent another email and said I was excluded again. Because I had my lawyer had contacted the school on my behalf and said I would continue to adhere to my religious beliefs, and or in response to that, they excluded me. So once again, I just decided to attend the school. I walked into my class. The principal tried to remove me from the class. Didn't I? Eventually got my lawyer on the phone. I agreed to have a meeting with both principals in the office. When I walked down to the office, the principal blocked the door and informed me that there were some people on the way to visit me. And not long after that, 2 police officers walked in. They told me I was trespassing. I told them I didn't have a trespassing notice and I was only attending school, and they didn't want me in because of my religious beliefs. And yeah, the cops read me my rights and put me in the back of a cruiser and then drove me away.
Before we jump into the next point, guys, do not wait until it's too late and you find yourself in your home without enough food, without the supplies to withstand the shock that is impending, that is coming. Of course, you know you cannot survive without food and water, and you need multiple supplies, which is why I've partnered with an amazing company called PATRIOT that is an American company, American hired, and they have the highest quality products for you, including preparation food packets that last 25 years. This is real food, high quality food that you can use and store. It's probably older older than some of you guys watching the show. And if you don't know, you need to at least have a 4-week survival kit in your house. I also recommend getting a 3-month survival kit. If you don't have preparation food, I really don't know what you're doing. It's so important. Look at what they are doing with the eggs and the inflation. It's absolutely out of this world. And it's the best time to buy prep food because it's only going to get more expensive over the years as the prices are expected to climb. So if you've been waiting to make the jump and buying preparation food on a company that hires over 200 Americans, supporting our businesses, supporting your family, and protecting yourself against the future, go to 4patriots.com, the number 4, PATRIOTS.com. Use my promo code OFFENSIVE, click the link in the description, and find out the products they have for you today, including, of course, other types of water material, outdoor living, etc. It's so amazing. You've got to check it out. Write it down, click the link, 4patriots.com, promo code OFFENSIVE. Let's just get into the next point.